All right, I want to, as you can see what I'm talking about today, why I consider that the head itself is the most important. We're going to do some lessons here. You've watched me carve for a long time. And one of the things that we want to talk about is, why do I consider the head? Why is it that I will take a pattern many times and I'll make the head much bigger than what the pattern shows or anything like that? As you can see, I extended the head out even more here. And I didn't do it so much with the body. Well, the reason I do that is because in my thought of pattern, only my thought of pattern, the head is the most important factor, or the face is, in a carving. Now, it's important for if you're doing action, that the body be in action as well. But still, the facial expression is the face itself, especially in flat plane carving, is probably one of the most important aspects of, or my style of flat plane carving is what it is. Now, as you can see in this figure, simple figure of a hobo, what expression, when you look upon a carving, what is the first thing you look at 9 times out of 10? It's usually the face. It's what the face looks like. Most of the time, I have always been very, very surprised that anyone even liked my carvings. I really did, because my carvings were simple. They were not complicated. But the compliments that I always got most of the time was on my face. Was not so much the action or what it looked like or the cuts or anything like that. It was usually in the facial expressions of the cuts and everything like that. And that's where people saw it. So when you look at a carving, the facial expression, the face, is probably the most. So I do, a lot of times, the head most of the time is not symmetric to the body on my carvings, because I want the head to be bigger, and I want it to shine, I want it to come forth, I want it to express something in such a way, even though my body does in a little way, and the cuts do. I like to express the fact that in the face. Now, a lot of times, this is why you find in carvings like mine, the little smaller body with the bigger head. I used to do some carvings called the big-headed carvings, and this is very similar to what it is. As you can see with the little alien here, what is it that when you look at him that brings, expresses mostly, and it's the head, it's the face. It is. So I make the face bigger because that is what intricates what people see in so many things. Okay, now let me show you, and I have said this many often, you can have a plain body, but if you've got a good head or a good face on it, then it's very noticeable in a lot of ways. And we're going to kind of prove that with the way the carving is right here. Okay? Now, at first I did a lot of carvings with just the head, just the hands in the pockets, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just, I'm sorry, that's just as good. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And I've had a little cold, as you can hear my voice and stuff. And so let's carve this little figure here and emphasize why it is important, or if you want to extend the head or come out with it or whatever, it's so important to have something that looks good in the facial features. I mean, you can have a really good body, but if you don't have a good head or a good face to it, then it really doesn't have much look to it whatsoever. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to carve the head without the face, without the body. That's what we're going to do. And I'll show you, even with that, that the head becomes so important. So a lot of people worry. Now, if you're doing realistic carvings, yeah, you want to get the head and the body proportionate and everything like that. People are going to measure and do all this other stuff. But when you're doing caricatures or you're doing fun carvings or stuff like that, don't worry about getting the head and the body, all that. You know, worry more about getting the face, get some type of character to your face in such a way. All right. You can see I'm just rounding the head off a little bit. And I'm going to show you how, without even the body itself, how much character that the head and the face brings to a figure in such a way, okay? Here we are. The body's important. Don't get me wrong. Please don't get me wrong. As I said that. But I think people worry too much about proportions when it comes to doing caricatures. And just have fun. But work on, to me, work on the facial features. Because I love to do faces, and I love, and my little men that I do with the choir, their little faces and everything like that, their bodies are really not doing a whole lot but just standing there. Bring that nose down. It's way too big. I make it way a little bit too big so that I can and then I kind of come on each side. I just do this. And then I just cut. You've seen me do this in a lot of my videos, so Okay. I have always emphasized the face and the head as a point of what I like to do. Like I said, I like doing bodies, but I prefer to do the face. I prefer to, because in the face is where the expressions come, and the individual So the reason I do a lot of these things, and I love, when I work on a carving, I love to get to the head. I really do. To me, if I could just carve heads, that would be good, but you won't, you have to have the body on it for expression and things like that. But the head to me is your greatest expression. Okay, see that? As we go with it. How do we want this man? Let's give him a smile on his face. I don't do a lot of smiling carvings at all. They're happy. In the world we live in today, there's not much smiling going on. It's pretty rough. But God says don't give way to, I'm still here. The Lord says I am still here. He is by our side. And if you believe in Him in the end, you know what's going to happen. So we're just going to do a little smiling guy here. I'm going to come down here and kind of make him a lower jaw right here. You can make him smile a bit more. that. There we go. Mm-hmm. We can come up, we come down, cut that little thing in there. Come up, come down, cut that little thing in there. And then we come in here, cut a little triangle. Yep. Move that. Just cut a little triangle. Remove that. Put little eyes in there. Just like that. Now, we got use the make a cut in here. Let's clean that up in there. Now, I think I'm just going to go ahead and cut him like this. Now let's bring that down to equal what we're doing here. Put that in there. And let's bring that down. On the face. There's a little chip in there that I gotta get out of there. Just like that. I'm sorry, excuse me. I've been having a little cold. I don't know why. I worked with some paint the other day. Sometimes when I get around paint and I use paint and stuff like that, I have to be careful. It has a tendency to, the smell of it, mess up my sinuses and stuff. Okay. Still a little chip in there. They come down like that. Take that. There we go. There we got it now. There we got it. They're simple faces, but as you can see, just the face itself is the point of expression of this person And the face is usually, okay, when we look at someone, usually our assessment of that person is from the face. Now, I'm going to say this, okay? I know that if you're walking by a beautiful woman, the first thing usually you don't notice is the face. You know, I mean, men, let's put it that way, okay? Men don't usually notice the face, or if a woman has a rather bosom, busty type look, it's, they do notice the body. I mean, I'm not saying that's not the case, okay? Because that's what men do when they look at women a lot of times. It's not usually the face, it's the body a lot of times what they see. So I will not say that, and I can't. But in a carving, yes, I believe the face is the main factor in what people look at and notice and see. And so that is what I believe is a draw when they look at the carving itself. In other words, is the face itself, whether it's sad, happy. And there's another thing. I have learned something, that a lot of my carvings are of hobos, so they're not smiling too much and stuff like that. But I've had a lot of people ask me, can I have one of your carvings, or can I buy one of your carvings, or something like that? And they said, if you send me one, would you send me one, that's happy? And I noticed that a lot of times people really, if you do carvings and you put a happy face on them, you put a happy, not a depressing type face on them, 90% of the time the people like those more than any other carvings. And of course that's normal in most cases. People go for happy looking characters, or happy looking faces. So if you are a carver, or it's just beginning carving or whatever, and you think that your stuff's not good enough perhaps, or whatever it is, I mean, or you're just doing faces, put a happy face on it. And believe me, most